Today on Rappler, removing the USS Guardian from Tre Batenga Reef will cost nearly $25 million. President Aquino says the MNLF did not inform the government about its attacks on the Abu Sayyaf. And Congress ratifies amendments to expand the coverage of the AntiMoney Laundering Act. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The salvage company hired by the U.S. Navy to remove the USS Guardian from the Tre Batenga Reef will be paid nearly $25 million, or about 1.2 billion pesos. The U.S. Department of Defense publishes details of the contract on Wednesday. SMIT Salvage Singapore is hired to provide the personnel, vessels, and equipment needed for the recovery of the ship. The U.S. Defense Department says the operation will be completed December, not April or May, as earlier announced by the Philippine Coast Guard. On Wednesday, the Coast Guard approves the U.S. Navy's plan of cutting the ship into pieces and lifting each section onto a barge with floating cranes. World Wildlife Fund Philippines spokesman Greg Yan says the fines the U.S. Navy will have to pay are, quote, just a drop in the bucket for their coffers if they can afford $25 million to remove the ship. Former Philippine Ambassador Roberto Romulo believes it's appropriate for the U.S. to compensate the Philippines, but says they should do more.
How will they prevent this in the future? I really cannot understand how a superpower has the wrong Navy charts that they go to Batangas the way they did.
Commissions on Elections Chair Sixto Brillantes Jr. threatens to walk out of a congressional hearing Wednesday after a poll watchdog raised issues over ballot counting machines. Brillantes says he has heard the criticism, quote, about 100 times. Center for People Empowerment and Governance Executive Director Evita Jimenez questions the security of precinct count optical scan machines, or PCOS machines. She cites the issue between Smartmatic, which sold Comelec the machines, and Dominion Voting Systems, which owns the system used by Smartmatic. The fight between the two companies prevents SLI Global Solutions from releasing its certification of its source code review. The source code refers to human-readable instructions that define what the computer equipment will do. Jimenez says without the certification, the poll watchdog would expect preloading, multiple transmissions, and other problems with the machines. She adds, quote, we are not doomsaying, but we want proof that the machines will be functioning well. Brillantes says he will address the issues after SLI and Comelec's Technical Evaluation Committee release their report next week. President Benigno Aquino says the government did not sanction the recent operation of the Moro National Liberation Front, the MNLF, against the Abu Sayyaf in Sulu. In a press conference in Davao, Aquino clarifies the MNLF did not inform the government about the attack. The military says more than 26 people were killed after violence erupted between the MNLF and the Abu Sayyaf on Sunday, hours after the bandit group released 2 of their kidnapped victims in Patikul, Sulu. Aquino says the government's priority is securing the civilians in the area.
So we directed both the security services, meaning the AFP and the PNP, and also Secretary Soriman sa DSWD, to ensure that the civilians who might be caught up in the areas are evacuated to safe areas and are taken care of.
He adds the government wants to prevent the fighting from spreading. The Abu Sayyaf has been placed by the United States as a foreign terrorist organization. Congress ratifies on Wednesday the final version of a measure seeking to expand the coverage of the Anti-Money Laundering Act. The measure expands the list of unlawful activities and the list of institutions covered by the law. Under the bill, foreign exchange corporations, money changers, and pre-need companies will be required to report transactions of $500,000 pesos and above to the Anti-Money Laundering Council. Precious stones and metal dealers will be required to report transactions of $1 million pesos and above. The measure is required by the Paris-based Financial Action Task Force for the Philippines to avoid being placed on a blacklist. The Supreme Court upholds the Ombudsman's dismissal of the malversation charges filed against Pampanga Representative Gloria Arroyo. The Supreme Court Third Division rules the transfer of some 530 million pesos in Overseas Workers Welfare Administration funds to PhilHealth in 2004 was valid and legal. The resolution is dated January 17th but is made public Wednesday. The Ombudsman also says Arroyo's transfer of $350,000 in OWA capital funds to labor attachés in the Middle East is legal. Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales approves the dismissal of the charges against Arroyo and 11 other officials from PhilHealth and OWA in 2012. Solicitor General Francisco Chavez filed the plunder case in 2011. He says he will file a motion for reconsideration. One of the witnesses in the Jerry Ortega murder case is found dead in jail Tuesday. Dennis Aranas was found in his cell at the Lucena Provincial Jail with a bag strap around his neck. Jail officials call it a suicide. Aranas is one of the alleged hitmen in the case. The Ortega family says Aranas' wife, quote, does not believe he committed suicide. The family says in a statement, quote, we are just worried because as witnesses die, the case may weaken in the long run. Globe Telecom expects its planned acquisition of cash-strapped Bayan Telecommunications Inc. to go smoothly. It says an equity deal might happen within the first quarter of 2013. Globe President and CEO Ernest Cu says the company plans to merge with Bayan after successfully buying out 96.5% of Bayan's outstanding bondholders. Globe paid a discounted $130 million for the $430 million worth of debt Bayan and Unit Radio Communications of the Philippines Inc. owed to creditors. Since Bayan's corporate rehabilitation in 2004, the debt-ridden telco has reportedly settled 8.19 billion pesos in debt. Cu also reveals plans to file for an amendment of Bayan's rehabilitation plan to ensure its long-term viability. In a statement Wednesday, Globe says its net income fell 30% to 6.9 billion pesos in 2012 from 9.8 billion pesos in 2011. Globe says network modernization program expenses pulled down the company's profit. A major 8.0 magnitude earthquake hits the Solomon Islands Wednesday, triggering a tsunami that kills 5 people in the eastern area of the islands. FIVOX raises tsunami alert level 1 for communities in the Philippines' east coast after the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center generates a tsunami warning affecting large parts of the Pacific. The alert is lifted past noon Philippine time after tsunami warnings are also lifted for affected areas in the Pacific Basin. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 3, British lawmakers vote Tuesday to allow gay marriage despite fierce opposition from members of Prime Minister David Cameron's own party. Voting 400 to 175, the vote puts Britain on track to join the 10 countries that allow same-sex couples to marry. But to become a law, it still needs to clear the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Cameron allowed lawmakers a free vote on the issue, meaning they're not directed by party managers. At number 6, Dell unveils plans to go private, giving founder Michael Dell a chance to reshape the former #1 PC maker. Michael Dell and investment firm Silver Lake strike a $24.4 billion deal to take the company private. The move will delist the company from stock markets and could ease some pressure on Dell, which is cash-rich but has seen profits slump. At number 7, a new propaganda video released by an official North Korean agency becomes the talk of the internet community. The video, set to the song We Are the World, shows a dream sequence where a young Korean man envisions a future of rocket launches and a reunified Korean peninsula. But the video changes tone with images of stars and stripes and a city in flames. Conspiracy theorists say it hints of North Korea's plans of a nuclear attack on America. And at number 9, Spanish tennis champ Rafael Nadal launches his return from a 7-month injury break by teaming up with Argentina's Juan Monaco for a doubles victory in the ATP clay court event in Chile on Tuesday. All eyes are on the return of the world number 5, who plays his first tournament since he was beaten at Wimbledon in June 2012. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page, which crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meters. If we take a look today, still with the economy, this has been on the front page on the mood navigator the last few days. Philippines, the new Indonesia good economic forecast for the Philippines leaves 71% happy, 14% inspired. Today's story, well, this is still on the election. PCOS manual count don't match, 90% sad. And the story that's gotten the most number of votes, but which ironically also has the most votes for don't care, is which has better ratings, ABS-CBN or GMA. People cared enough to vote for don't care. 49% don't care, but if we take a look, even in this story, you have 24% happy. Those number of people who voted green added to the mood of the day. Today, most people are happy. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Wednesday, February 6, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.